Hey everybody, it's Matt the Dice Chucker from the Literary Gamers coming to you with another board game review. Today, we're taking a look at a game called The Great Split. Now, you can probably tell from the name of the game, this is going to be an I split you choose style game. Let's head down to the table to see how it plays. I'm only going to explain how it plays at 2 players, since that's the main form that games take place here in our home. And then you can discover the full game on your own through rulebook downloads and things like that. So let's head to the table, figure out how this plays, and then head back up so you can get my thoughts on The Great Split. Alright, so here we have a game of The Great Split set up for 2 players. Now we have the rulebook here on the back. If you're looking for it, is where you have the additional rules for 2 players. Okay, so like I said, this is an I split you choose game. So in 2 players, you're really only ever going to be splitting with 1 player. So at the beginning of each round, and yes, I will be making sure I got the rules right because I don't need that in the comments. All right, you're going to take a card from the deck that corresponds with the round. So for example, round 1, you'll see you take from the 2 deck. This is the 2 deck here. It does say to keep the deck for the first era to the side. All right. Yes, because usually what happens is you're going to get a card from level 2 into each hand, and then it says here that we'll deal 1 resource card from the deck from the current round. Then you get a card from the previous round. So in a 2-player game, each player would get a card from round 1. All right, so that's the deal. So what do these cards look like and what are we doing? So once again, like I said, you're trying to get the most points. On the cards are basically the resources that are on your sheet here. Books, art, gems, coin, and then these are basically your investments and your seals. And you're going to be using those as multipliers for scoring later on at the end of the game. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your little wallet, and then you'll have a splitter card in here. You look at your hand, and you have a hand limit of 5 according to here. It's a little blurry up there, but yeah, before you start anything, you check your hand limit. Of course, in a 2-player game, you're going to exceed that, so you got to discard 1 before you start. And then you're going to split them. So let's say that I just decided to discard this level 1 card. And so now I'm sending 5 cards over. So I take this card and I put my hand in any order. And then I place this here, which means the person I send this to is going to get either side of this hand of cards with the splitter there. And then when they pass it back to me, then I get the other bit. So you take this, and if you really wanted to get fancy, there's a little tip here. You can tuck it so the wallet doesn't flip open. I found that there was more frustration doing that, so I just did that. And so let's just see what we have here. So let's discard this gem. And I'm doing this just for example. And we do that. And this is the infamous I split you choose mechanic. So then the wallets switch, and then the person opens it up and decides which side to take. All right, so let's say this person chooses artwork, so they put that face down. Then they tuck the rest of the cards back in the wallet, give it back to the person that they got it from. Of course, once again, I am teaching you 2-player rules here. Okay, and let's say this person took those for the sake of example. And now this is your hand of cards, and you'll resolve all of them. You're going to be doing that by taking your player board here, which is an inset board, and giving yourself 2 art. So I take my cube here and give myself 2 art. And then I'd have another art, so 3. And then I have 2 gems, 2 blue and a green gem. 2 blue and a green gem. You'll notice on the board little outlined areas are giving you a bonus elsewhere, so be very aware of that. While the opposite is true down here with your multipliers. Okay? Once that is done and both sides have checked to see if they got all their stuff, then we flip the market token, and the market for art is going to go up 2 spaces. That's this little slider here. See if I can get a good look here. So it wants it to move 2 spaces. So 1, 2. And we'll talk about what that means when we get to scoring stuff. After that, if we did not pass the scoring line, like if this did not pass any of these gold scoring lines or touch the end, we take all the cards we had in our hand that we just played, we pop them back into our hand, and then we move this to the next spot. Still era 2. Each player gets 1 card from era 2. In a 2-player game, then each player gets 1 card from era 1. And this will happen and go on, and like, let's just for the sake of example, so we had a 4 here, so now we're at 6, and then 1. It's all upside down, that's my fault. And then we score art here. Okay. So, the way you score art on a scoring phase is you take a look. Let's say that I had gone up to 10. All right. I have 10 pieces of art, and there are numbers under there. You take a look at the slider here at how many pieces of art you have, because you max out at 18. And whatever point value is above that number, which in this case would be 13, would get 13 points. So I just take my little marker down here and move it up 13 points. If I had 3 arts, all right, if I had 3, take a look here, the 3 would get me 0 points, okay, but 4 would get me 6, all right. That is how you score art. As far as the gems go, gems are scored by double. So you find your least gem. Let's say I am here. So those are my 2 gems. I have a 10 and an 8. I take my gem with the least advance and I double that. So I would get myself 16 points for that gem scoring. All right. How do you score books? Books are scored by the most you've gone up on the track. Like, let's say that was my books. I'd score 8 points because that's as far as I've gone. There is a scoring round where nothing happens. So this time, 2 things happen. This scoring round, only 1 will happen. And then at the end of the game, you score each of them individually again. And then you go down to the ribbons. Now, the ribbon scoring, contract scoring as they call it. So you're going to be gaining contracts throughout the game on here. So for sake of example, let's say I'm here. You count the number of purple, purple diamonds you've got. So this one will be 4 times the highest star value you got here. So 4 times 3 would be 12 points for that. And you do that for each of the different things that you have up here. Plus, if you're starting person, which gives you starting resources, you add those to the amounts that you're multiplying. So for example, if I still had, like I didn't move the blue. For blue, I would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's all it takes. 6, 7 times the amount of stars that my track reached. And I'd show it to you, but I accidentally whacked it on the way down and they all fell out. And whoever has the most points by the end of the game is the winner. And that is pretty much 2-player. Was there anything else I forgot? No, in 2 players, you're just getting extra cards from previous rounds. So let's head back up to the table and I'll tell you what I think. So that is the Great Split. This is the I Split You Choose. And this is a track climber, right? So you're going up tracks and you're basically playing cards to combo off another one. It feels a lot like a roll and write if you did an I Split You Choose mechanic into the roll and write. As I've often said, anytime Horrible Guild comes out with a game, I tend to pay attention. Not just because they give a solid design, here comes a cattail, a solid design, but oftentimes because it's supper time, I think. Is it supper time? It's a little early. Okay. All right, here we go. Here we go. Let's make sure that I can get the mic in play here. All right. So it has that roll and write feel, right? You're going up this track that gives you a bump on this track to give you a bump on this track, and you're going to do multipliers for how to score certain things going on throughout the game. That's pretty much how it goes. And that's pretty much it. I mean, we have lovely inlaid boards here. The graphic design is very impressive. It's got that, roaring 20s feel. Cards are easy to read. Very few times we went back to figure out what the heck a card meant. I love the slider track for how valuable the artwork is at the time. I'm hoping to get it all the way maxed out. And just really an interesting concept in many of the presentations here. So, what did I think about the game? I think the game will probably really shine at its full complement, and probably more than 4 or 5, I would say. And because at 2, it's good, but there is something lacking in the game when it comes to just playing it 2 players. There is a slight change in how you play it for 2 players, but just the idea that when you're passing the cards around, and how you want to get down? All right, we want to get down. I mean, it's very possible you're going to see a lot of the same cards over and over again throughout the game, as long as you're keeping the same level 1 cards. I don't know why you would do that, but we also found that at 2 players, there was very little risk on the way we were splitting things, and both times we played, our scores were in the high hundreds. I mean, none of us broke 200, but we were close. I think this is a solid design. There's a lot of really great things happening here. I think I just wanted more. And let me pull out some of the components here to show you. Yeah, I think I wanted a bit more from an I Split You Choose. It is not my personal favorite genre, but I'm always looking for the game that does break the mold there. I definitely liked the fact that the deck ratcheted itself up. Like in this first 3 rounds, you're only using the level 2 cards, then level 3 for the rest of the game. Very nice. I liked that you're slowly building up all of your goods and things like that. And of course, the boards are simple to read. You're going to go up the gold track. Okay, this double yellow arrow goes 2 up 2 other tracks, or 2 on 1 track. Go up 1 on 2 other tracks, or 2 on 1 track. And just this being controlling your scoring down here, very nice. There's a lot of really solid stuff that's going on here. And of course, your player powers and your player ability, and what you can score even more of. So, there is a lot to like here, but I don't think it really works well at 2. And that's okay. We've talked about that a lot on this channel, mainly because Jen and I play board games by ourselves. This does not have a solo mode. I think there's going to be a lot of people who enjoy the Great Split, but once again, at 2, there's just not much of a dynamic. You're just kind of passing the cards to each other, and after 6 rounds, the passing is done, and you check stuff out, and then find out who wins. It's fine. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. I would probably rate it a solid 7, and for me, that is a game that I will play with you if you ask me to, but I'm not going to own this one. I think this is going to find a lovely home at the library. It's a great intro game with this type of idea for people who want to branch into a different genre. I'm not sure if I'd call this a gateway game. There might be a lot to look at. And for an I Split You Choose game that really works as a gateway, you'd want like New York Slice or something like that. But the Great Split, I think, still has a lot of stuff it needs to make work for 2. Not the best genre for 2 players. I understand that, and I'm willing to accept that it's not something I'll see often that I'll have to keep. So, the Great Split, like I said, I do recommend it. It is mainly, I would say, 4+, even though it says 2 to 7 on here. I probably wouldn't even attempt this unless I got to 4 players. And then what I would consider doing is properly rating the game. So the game is a 7 for me at 2. Okay, I make sure I continue to say that. It is a 7 out of 10 for me at 2 players. This can only go up if I play it with more players. I love the graphic design. I love the theming around it. Yes, when you play the game, it's fairly themeless because you're just getting cards, putting them down, and getting those resources. But when it comes to the artwork style and everything, has that really nice, 1920s look to it. So that's the Great Split. Thanks for joining me. And don't forget to subscribe, do the things with the bell icon and your settings. I don't know what it is. Just do the things. Help us out. And we'll see you next time on the Literary Gamers. That is, once again, the Great Split. Thanks, everybody.